everybody in the doctor's office called it a miracle because they said that the kind of injury he had, he's doing better than expected. So imagine that.
Welcome back to Rooster Crowing TV, y'all. It's been a minute, my boy back, you heard me? Hey man, before we dive too deep, keep in mind it costs $0.00 to hit that subscribe button right now. And not even be fair and price match and do the same thing if you hit that like button right now. You did. Man, let's get into this shit, man. The more you read about this story, the more you hear about this story, the more disturbing it gets. I've been saying this shit for the past few years now. America's new normal is people shooting at other people for the most minor offenses. We see it from fender benders, loud music, and now to a 16-year-old child ringing the wrong doorbell, trying to pick up his brothers. This is America, man. Yeah, this is the story of Ralph Yarl. This man, 16 years old, don't have a mug shot, don't have pictures with him posting guns on social media. Matter of fact, all the pictures you see is with him and his instrument. I don't want to say a flute, but he's part of the band. You know what I mean? This man just looked young, innocent. You know what I mean? This kid goes to go pick up his siblings, and a common mistake tears streets, whatever. But some way, somehow, he ends up at the wrong address, right? He goes to ring the doorbell, and the man that answered the door, for some reason, just felt like he would be justified if he shot this kid. Not only did he shoot this kid in the head, but he shot this kid twice. Twice. For ringing the doorbell. After he shoots this kid gets up. Some way, somehow, God just give him the strength to get up and run. Fight or flight kicked in, right? He's running. He goes to neighbors' houses, asking for help in this quote-unquote upscale neighborhood. This man had to go to 3 different houses before he could get help in this quote-unquote upscale neighborhood. And the person that finally decided to help him actually made him put his hands up before they can call for help. This kid had to pretty much play dead, play possum, before he can get help. Y'all, this is a long video, but it's worth the watch. Let's get into it, man.
After a thorough review of the case file, the appropriate laws, and information gained during the investigation phase of the case, I filed 2 felony counts.
Breaking news tonight, charges have been filed in the shooting of Ralph Yarl. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Jackson.
And I'm Carolyn Long. This comes 4 days after the 16-year-old was shot in the head after knocking on the wrong door. Our KCTV5 news team is following the latest updates for you. First tonight, KCTV5's Nathan Vickers is live to explain what law enforcement believes happened on that day. Nathan?
That's right. Well, Lester is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. I have those charging documents right here. They outline what law enforcement say happens, and Prosecutor Zachary Thompson took us through some of those charges earlier today. Here's what he told us. He told us that the charging documents reiterated that police narrative that Yarl had come to pick up relatives and had gone to the wrong address. He rang the doorbell but did not enter the home. According to the charging documents, Lester fired twice at Yarl with a .32 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver. He shot through the door, hitting Yarl in the head and chest. Lester cooperated with police afterward but was not arrested at the time. The 84-year-old man told police he was scared. It's unclear where Lester is right now. He's not in custody and he's not at home. Neighbors told us he was staying with someone. Thompson said his office approached this case impartially and objectively and believed that the justice system worked appropriately.
In Clay County, we enforce the laws and we follow the laws, and that does not matter where you come from or what you look like or how much money you have. Everyone is held to the same standard.
And Thompson also said that he does believe that there were racial factors at play in the shooting of Ralph Yarl. Reporting live in Liberty, Nathan Vickers, KCTV 5 News.
Thank you, Nathan. Again, that defendant's name is Andrew Lester. Now that the charges are out, we want to give you a reminder of the timeline that led up to this.
Now, Ralph was shot twice in the head last Thursday around 10 p.m. after going to the wrong house to pick up his siblings. He went to the 1100 block of Northeast 115th Street, meant to go to 115th Terrace. After he was shot, Yarl then ran for help to 3 neighboring homes.
After they called police, the man who shot him was taken into custody just before midnight, but he was released less than 2 hours later at 1:24 a.m. Friday morning. Now, on Sunday, Police Chief Stacey Graves says they couldn't charge him until they interviewed Yarl. As of 3 p.m. today, Ralph's father told us he is out of the hospital and at home recovering now. Then at 4 o'clock, we learned the case has been turned over to the Clay County prosecutor, and those charges came down shortly after 5.
Mayor Quentin Lucas is reacting to those charges now for the first time via Twitter, saying, quoting here, "I am relieved to see this first step towards justice. Now we must remain engaged through the trial."
And investigative reporter Angie Racono has been pouring through charging documents.
Yeah, she's also talked to legal experts about Missouri's castle doctrine that gives people the right to defend their own home. Angie, what can you tell us at this point?
Well, we have both stand your ground and the castle doctrine in Missouri. Stand your ground is you can defend yourself wherever you are. Castle doctrine is you can protect your home and your property. So let's get right to the charging documents and give you some more details. The homeowner says he heard his doorbell ring. He grabs his gun and goes to check. Andrew Lester claims the young man is pulling on the storm door handle and he was scared to death. He believed the teen was trying to break in, so he shoots him. It also says Andrew Lester called 911. Now, the young man, he has a very different version of events and says he did not pull on the handle. He's waiting patiently at the door to get his brothers. The homeowner answers the door with a gun and says, "Don't come around here." He tells police he was shot twice. The teen runs for help, but it takes multiple homes, like you said, before he gets that help. Now, earlier today, I spoke with attorney Phil Lavoda. He explained Missouri's castle doctrine.
That means your home is your castle. Under the castle doctrine, which Missouri has, is that you can protect your property from an illegal intruder and using deadly force. Now, that person has to be there illegally. That's a problem with this case. This person, if and when they're charged with this shooting, is going to have to prove that this young man was there illegally. Someone knocking on the door at your house does not make you an illegal person trespassing that would raise the level of using the castle doctrine as a defense.
Now, we don't know what Andrew Lester will argue in court, but we can tell you he's telling police in his mind he was defending his home. The bottom line is you are not trespassing when you ring a doorbell. Angie Racono, KCTV 5 News.
Thank you for that update, Angie.
Last night, my nephew was on his way to pick up his brothers from their friend's house a few blocks away from his house. He didn't have his phone, so he wasn't using GPS. He was just going based on the direction that my sister gave him. Unfortunately, he pulled into the driveway of the wrong house, walked up to the door, rang the doorbell. A man opened up the door, looked him in the eye, and said, "Don't ever come back here," as he shot him in the head. My nephew fell down and the man shot him again. He was able to get up and ran to the neighbor, who did not open the door. He ran to 3 houses before one of the neighbors said, "Put your hands up and lay on the ground." And then he laid on the ground like he passed out before the neighbor called the police for help. My nephew is 16 years old. You hear these stories about racism in America and you think, wow, how sad is that? But then you have this little bit of hope because you feel like it's so far away and it would never happen to your family. It would never happen to you. But God, the people in this country are sick. And it's so hard to believe that this amount of hate lives in people. And they hate people based on things that are not even under their control. I cannot believe this is the country that we live in. This is the country. This is America.
Well, you're going to have to add ringing doorbells to the list of places that children aren't safe in this country. And we know that after 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was shot twice for ringing the wrong doorbell on his way to pick up his brothers when he went to the wrong house. And I don't know about you, but I've done this plenty of times. He was trying to go to Northeast 115th Terrace and instead went a block over to 115th Street. He rang the doorbell. A grown man saw him, shot him in the head, then again when he was on the ground bleeding. And though I'm sure I'll have a litany of you trying to explain stand your ground laws to me, this child was ringing a doorbell and posing a threat to no one, and the grown man who shot him twice has not been arrested. Just out there living his life. I have emailed prosecutor Zachary Thompson to ask when charges are going to be filed. Here's his contact information along with the information from the Kansas City Police Department if you'd like to do the same. And here's the fundraiser his family has started to help pay for his medical expenses and obviously a lot of therapies he'll have in the future. Can we stop calling him the pro-life party now? Well, you're gonna have to add.
Here's an update, y'all. The young man, Ralph Yarl, he has been released to go home, but he's recovering. He's still recovering. The good news is, he got a lot of people standing behind him. Also, his GoFundMe has surpassed 1.5 million, right? So this young man needs a lot of help. He got a long road ahead of him, but that's the update. Also, the person who did this, is right here, right? So I just want to let you know what's going on. We got to continue fighting for justice for our young black men, our young black people, period. Black people, period. I sit up here and I watch these young people walking up and down the street from school, seeing them out in the communities and everything. And just to sit up here and have a vision of being black or brown, there's a target on your back because we're automatically assumed to be dangerous. This young man, come on now. We need justice. Enough is enough.
A 16-year-old was shot by a homeowner after ringing the wrong doorbell. Ralph Yarl was picking up his twin brothers when he mistakenly went to the wrong house. His aunt explained how the teen was shot in the head twice before searching for help.
He ran to 3 houses before one of the neighbors said, "Put your hands up and lay on the ground."
The teen is known as a musical genius and is one of the top bass clarinet players in Missouri. Ralph is currently in hospital where he is now recovering from his injuries. The police released the alleged gunman from custody pending further investigation. The release did not sit well with the public, with civil rights attorney tweeting Ralph is fighting for his life. This man must be arrested. Hundreds of protesters have since turned up outside the alleged gunman's home on Sunday afternoon, demanding immediate justice. Police obtained the firearm that was used, but have explained their delay in bringing charges against the homeowner because they are waiting for the teen to make his own statement.
So we now know who tried to kill Ralph Yarl. 84-year-old white man named Andrew Lester, and there's a warrant out for his arrest. And immediately after seeing this news, I saw this tweet. Elderly white people who kill a black child in 2023 are the 20-somethings who lynched black folks and got away with it.
Yarl is now officially being charged with 2 felony counts. On April 13th, 16-year-old Ralph Yarl went to pick up his 2 twin brothers from a home where they were being babysat. Unfortunately, Yarl went to a home on 115th Street instead of Northeast 115th Terrace. After knocking on the door, an 85-year-old white man named Andrew Lester opened the door, saw the teen, and shot him, continuing to shoot even after he fell to the ground. The teen was shot 3 times, including in the head. The man then went back into his house. The 16-year-old, with plans on attending Texas A&M to major in chemical engineering, the current member of the Technology Student Association and Science of Olympia team, and member of his school's jazz band, then managed to get back on his feet and run for help. He had to knock on 3 separate homes before finding someone who would help him, only after demanding the teen lay on the ground with his hands in the air. At that point, 911 was called. This was also the first time a 911 call had been made since the teen had been shot. While Ralph Yarl is still in the hospital recovering, a GoFundMe has been set up by the family. I'll put a link to the official GoFundMe on my IG account. Worse yet, the man who shot him was taken into custody, then released to return home about 24 hours later. However, it should be noted that Kansas City police have been in contact with the public and made it very clear they were working towards charging the suspect and that they intended to interview the victim first. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump and attorney Lee Merritt have taken up the case for the family on a pro bono basis. Many have called for hate crime charges. It also should be noted that those are federal charges and may be coming soon, but they aren't charged at the state level, which is what was announced today.
Justice for Ralph! 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 Justice for Ralph!
Update about the teen shot in Kansas City after ringing the wrong doorbell. The shooter has been identified as 85-year-old Andrew Lester, and he's finally been charged. First, let's go back to the date of the incident. On April 13th, 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was planning to pick up his siblings from a friend's house, but Ralph got the addresses mixed up. Instead of going to a house on 115 Terrace, he went to Andrew's house on 115th Street. Ralph parked his car in the driveway and went up to the door. He rang the doorbell and waited. He heard some shuffling around, and it took a minute for someone to come to the door. That's when Andrew Lester opened the door and then immediately shot Ralph through a second glass door. And when Ralph was on the ground, he shot him again. Those bullets hit him in the head and arm. A lawyer for the family also stated that Ralph was told, "Don't come back around here," and that allegedly happened just before Andrew fired his weapon. Despite having a cracked skull and other serious injuries, he managed to get up and go look for help. But Ralph had to go to 3 different houses until someone finally helped him. He was hospitalized for 3 nights and released this afternoon. Andrew Lester was charged just hours ago with 2 felonies: assault in the first degree and armed criminal action. He could face life in prison for the assault charge, and 3 to 15 years for the gun charge. A GoFundMe for Ralph has raised over $2.3 million. This will go towards medical expenses, college tuition, and a trip to West Africa. This is
an uncommon scene for one Kansas City neighborhood.
My son called me. He said, "Pops, you see the cops out there?" I said, "Cops where?" He said, "All over the place."
Police say a teen was shot around 10 p.m. after showing up at the wrong house. He was told to pick up a sibling on Northeast 115th Terrace, but he went to 115th Street. He's now in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. For neighbors, it all came as a shock.
Just real nice neighborhood. Kids fine. Play basketball and stuff in the streets.
Many hope violence like that doesn't happen again.
What do we do? We're Black Lives!
This one is taking me for a loop, and as I'm writing this, it's really tripping me out. If you've been following me, you know that I'm a documentary filmmaker. I'm aesthetics based out of the Bay Area, and I've been traveling the country really showing what's happening and uncovering the truth behind the movement on the front line. This is part 2, where I'm going to break down how this 16-year-old boy is literally Ahmaud Arbery 2.0. Ralph Yarl was literally going to the wrong address. He didn't have GPS and went to the wrong block, y'all. I'm so sick and tired of us protesting and they wait for our wage to settle. Y'all need to listen to this. Enough is enough. No more. 2024.
Now, the following is being posted for educational purposes with the intent to spread awareness and should not be used to segregate or divide, nor as a tool for harassment or bullying. Now, I had to get outside today because this case right here just got me feeling some type of way. And here's why. This right here is 16-year-old Ralph Yarl of Kansas City, Missouri, who on April 13th was going to pick up his siblings. Now, Ralph didn't have his phone and therefore he wasn't able to use GPS, but he ended up going to the wrong house, and that's when this happened.
Unfortunately, he pulled into the driveway of the wrong house, walked up to the door, rang the doorbell. A man opened up the door, looked him in the eye, and said, "Don't ever come back here," as he shot him in the head. My nephew fell down, and the man shot him again.
Now, that's when Ralph somehow found the energy and strength to go to not one, not two, but 3 houses before someone was willing enough to help him. And I want to be clear what that help looked like, because it wasn't just a open the door, oh my gosh, what happened, let me help you. This is what it looked like.
He ran to 3 houses before one of the neighbors said, "Put your hands up and lay on the ground." And then he laid on the ground like he passed out before the neighbor called the police for help.
Now, luckily, Ralph has been released from the hospital as of Sunday, I believe, and is at home recovering. But what about the 84-year-old white man who shot him in the head and arm? Now, the KC police was said to have taken the suspect into custody for a statement and was said to also have placed him on a 24 hold. However, would y'all believe me that they released this man in less than 2 hours and are said to be investigating whether or not this suspect was protected by the stand your ground laws? Now, here's some of the questions that I have. If he felt so threatened, why did he even open the door? If a black man had been the one to pull this trigger, he'd be in jail or another hashtag. Why is this case being pushed behind the narrative of mistaken identity and the 16-year-old child, the victim, name plastered everywhere, but yet the suspect, his name is still unknown? Oh, I know why.
We all take care of one another, you know.
Well, this is how we can help take care of Ralph.
The only help that I need and that my family needs right now is to get attention on this situation.
Remember, it's impossible being armed when the weapon you fear is musket.
There you have it, y'all. So, how many picnics do y'all think that old fart attended back in his days when he was growing up? And if you don't know what picnic is, go do some research. I ain't talking about no, oh yeah, we're gonna go have lunch and shit like that, because picnic came from something else. Pick a nig, and we're gonna watch him. Yeah. How many of those do you think that man attended? If you know anything about American history, you know that that old fart is from one of America's most racist generations. When where the time period that he's from, black people were not safe. All right? Black people were not safe. Everything he said about the kid pulling on the door and being aggressive and all that stuff, lies. Those were just lies that he made up in his head to make himself feel justified to shoot this kid. This man just wanted one more go around to get at a black person. Don't you ever come back here. All that, like, listen to this shit. It's messed up either way it goes. That's why everybody needs to be informed about American history. Immigrants who migrate over here, some of y'all refuse to learn the truth about American history. Some of y'all try to shield your children from the real American history because y'all want to integrate. That's a mistake. You feel me? Everybody needs to know the history of America, no matter where you're from. It could save your life if you already know the principles that America was built on. It will teach you how to move. What y'all think, man? Let's talk about this in the comment section. I'm going to make one more video on this, you know, touching up on what Tariq Nasheed and his quote movement are doing, and I'm gonna leave it like that. But I know this kid is gonna make a full recovery. I'm actually praying for it. Most people who get shot in the head, they're not the same. But I'm praying and hoping that he's 16 years old, his body is still developing, he's still growing, that he's gonna make a full recovery. You feel me? I'm rocking with this kid 100%, man. Let's talk about this in the comment section, y'all. Till next time, man. Keep in mind, subscribe.